All right. Welcome everybody to your favorite podcast show. Welcome to Follow Radio. Right, I'm your host Kike, and today we're diving into the intriguing world of social linguistics through the lens of the popular Netflix series Sex Education. In this case, I'm gonna tell you the title of today's episode, which is called Decoding Women's Language in Sex Education. So, in Sylvia Goixarcera's book, A Women's Language on a Contemporary Series, we're going to analyze this specific book about how we can relation, these specific aspects about social linguistics, the introduction of this Netflix TV series, right, and some other aspects about this kind of situation, right? What I'm talking to you about, in Sylvia Guixar book, Women's Language on a Contemporary Series, a social linguistic analysis of female use of language in the Netflix series Sex Education, a very long name, alright? So she provides valuable insights into how female characters use language in the show. So we're going to unpack this together, okay? I'm going to show you some segments in which how we can apply this information and how we can understand this aspect, okay? From understanding social linguistics to introduction to sex education, analysis of female language, gender and communication, and implications and reflections, okay? So before we get into that, I'm going to leave with some advertisements, okay? So please sit tight, grab some snacks, and prepare for your favorite show, Fallout Radio. Alright, so we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to your favorite podcast show, Fallout Radio. I'm your host, Kike, and today we're diving into the first segment of this program, which is called Decoding Women's Language in Sex Education. The first segment is called Understanding Social Linguistics. So before we jump into the series, let's lay down some groundwork. Okay, let's lay down some context. My question is right here: what exactly is social linguistics? So basically, social linguistics is the study of how language is influenced by social factors like gender, age, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. It helps us understand how language varies across different contexts and communities, right? So, when we talk about the language of women in sex education, we are not just analyzing their words, but also the social and cultural meanings behind them. So, it is crucial to remember that language isn't just about words, it is also about the social meanings behind those words. Actually, in the next segment, which is called Introduction to Sex Education, I'm going to show you a specific definition about what is sex education. I'm going to show you the specific analysis in which what is the TV series Sex Education that appears on Netflix. But before we get into that, some advertisements, and so well, remember to sit tight, okay, relax, and this is your favorite show, Fallout Radio. We'll be right back. My imagination will thrive upon that kiss. Welcome everybody to your favorite show, Fallout Radio. I'm your host Kike, and today we continue to this episode about decoding women's language in sex education. So in this case, I have a very important segment which is called Introduction to Sex Education. I'm gonna give you some context about what is that this TV series about. So now, for our listeners who might not be familiar with this TV series, Sex Education follows the life of teenager Otis Milburn, who teams up with his high school classmates to set up an underground sex therapy clinic. The show beautifully captures the complexities of teenage life, sexuality, and relationships. It features a diverse cast of characters, each with their own unique communication styles. And of course, that diversity extends to the portrayal of women on the show, from Maeve Wiley to Amy Gibbs. Each character brings something different to the table, actually. What makes sex education, this program, unique is its diverse cast of characters, each with their own distinct communication styles. But before we get into the main information, which I'm gonna call it analysis of female language, some advertisements, of course, right, so that we cannot forget this favorite program, this favorite episode of your favorite radio show, Fallout Radio. So keep tight, okay, keep relaxed, and be aware of this information. Let's go with some advertisements, okay? Thank you very much. We'll be right back. Stars shining. Perfect people, we'll be right back with your favorite show, Fallout Radio. I'm your host, Kike, and today we keep talking about understanding or decoding women's language in sex education. The next segment number 3, is called Analysis of Female Language. Let's dive into Silvia Goixar Serra's analysis of female language in the series. What did she uncover? Is my question of today. Well, Sarah found that female characters often use language strategically to assert power, negotiate relationships, and express their identities. For example, she observed variations in intonation and vocabulary choice, which reflect confidence and agency. That's really interesting, isn't it? An example that we can find from the show, let's take the character Maeve Wiley, for example. She's depicted as assertive and independent, and her speech patterns reflect that. She uses direct language and assertive tone to communicate her needs and desires. Interesting, isn't it? For example, characters like her and Amy Gibbs demonstrate confidence and agency through their speech patterns using direct language and assertive tones. It is important to know about this information. Alright? So before we get into the next segment, which is called Gender and Communication, some advertisements, of course. So relax, everybody, and keep in touch with your favorite TV show, Fallout Radio. We'll be right back. Welcome everybody to your favorite show, Fallout Radio. I'm your host Kike, and today we'll keep talking about this favorite topic of today. So my question, or well, the topic of today will be about decoding this information about the sex education program. The next segment is called Gender and Communication. So my question right here is, how does sex education tackle gender communication? Well, the show challenges right here traditional gender norms by portraying characters who defy stereotypes. It highlights the complexity of gender identity and the fluidity of language in expressing it. So, it's not just about what characters say, but also how they say it and what it reveals about their gender identity. Very important to know this. Sierra's analysis prompts us to question social expectations surrounding gender, language, and advocates for inclusivity and equality in male representations. The series right here portrays characters who defy stereotypes, highlighting the complexity of gender identity and the fluidity of language in expressing it. Very important to know about this. So, the next segment and last of this program will be calling Implications and Reflections. But, as you know, before we get into that, some advertisements. So keep in mind, keep in touch, and this is your favorite show, Follow Radio. We'll be right back. Kansas in August, I'm as normal as blueberry pie. No more a smart little girl. Welcome back, everybody, to your favorite show, Follow Radio. I'm your host, Kike, and today we're diving into the last segment of this program, which is called Implications and Reflections. I have another question for you, actually. My question is, what are the broader implications of Sarah's analysis for our understanding of gender and language? Well, in this case, Sarah's analysis invites us to question social expectations surrounding gender language and to recognize the agency of women in shaping their own linguistic identities. It prompts us to critically examine media representations of gender and to advocate for inclusivity and equality. So, serious analysis prompts us again to question social expectations and aspects surrounding gender, language, and advocate for inclusivity and equality in media representations. Keep in mind that information because it is important to know about that specific examples. So, don't forget about it, right? So, with that information, we conclude this favorite special episode about Follow Radio. So, well, that's all for today's episode, everybody. Thank you for joining me as we explored the fascinating world of women's language in sex education. So remember to stay curious and keep questioning the way language shapes to our perceptions and interactions. So until next time, good evening, good night, and good morning. I'm your host Kike, and this is Follow Radio. Thank you very much.
Seller still can hoard enough money to let Matt Gordon produce his show.